Man, when you look back at what the Philadelphia Eagles built last season, it is wild to remember how everything seemed to click from the very first snap. The team rolled through the schedule like a machine, fueled by confidence, attitude, and that old-school toughness this fan base lives for. And the heartbeat of that whole identity was the group up front, those massive bodies that never get enough credit, but shape every single thing the offense becomes. People talk all the time about quarterbacks, about flashy receivers, about big-name running backs, but anyone who watches football with a Real eye knows the truth. You watch the line of scrimmage. You watch who owns that first punch. You watch which team controls that invisible battlefield before the ball even hits a pair of hands. And last year, that belonged to Philadelphia every single week. That offensive line bullied people in ways we haven't seen around here since those old Broad Street days where teams walked into the stadium already knowing what kind of beating was coming. It was pure physical domination. You had Jordan Alata flattening defenders like he was back on a rugby pitch, Landon Dickerson throwing grown men around like traffic cones, Cam Jurgens fighting through injuries and still keeping the interior steady, and Lane Johnson adding to a career that already has people whispering that he might be the best to ever play his position. Even the guys who left town secured major contracts because every team in the league knew what this group had become. The tape spoke loud, and the numbers were even louder. And running behind that line was Saquon Barkley, who turned the entire season into his own personal highlight reel. If last year wasn't the greatest rushing campaign we have ever witnessed from an Eagles player, it was pretty close. He shattered marks that had stood for decades and carried this offense in a way that felt almost unfair. He won Offensive Player of the Year. He landed inside the top 5 for the Most Valuable Player award. He was first-team All-Pro. And honestly, you could make the case he should have been the most valuable player outright. Because if you remove him from that offense, nothing looks the same. The team doesn't make that run. The offense doesn't have an identity. Those big moments never happen. Every week it felt like he was crossing the century mark without even breaking sweat. Early season, late season, playoffs didn't matter. He was hitting defenses with a blend of patience and explosion that made every handoff feel like it could turn into a 60-yard breakaway. When he got into the postseason, he became even more dangerous, ripping off massive runs in every round, setting the tone like a heavyweight throwing the first punch. And even in the championship game, where the numbers didn't jump off the page, just the threat of him forced the opposing defense to pack the box. That opened everything for the passing game and completely changed the way the offense was able to attack. Sometimes impact shows up outside the box score, and that was the perfect example. So heading into this season, every fan expected that if nothing else, if absolutely nothing else, the Eagles would still own the trenches. Maybe some new faces, maybe some adjustments, but the foundation was supposed to be rock solid. Except football never stopped surprising us. And what nobody expected was to see this team sliding all the way down to one of the least productive rushing offenses in the entire league. Instead of pushing people around, the line has been pushed back. Instead of opening lanes, they've been smothered. Instead of being the bullies, they've been the ones getting knocked off balance. And every stat you look at confirms exactly what we have all been seeing on the field. The running game has been stuck in mud. The team is still committed to trying, still pounding the ball almost 30 times a game, but the efficiency just isn't there. The lack of explosive plays is glaring. Saquon, a guy who turned long runs into routine moments last season, has barely been able to find space. Through 12 weeks last year, he was rewriting the league record book. Through 12 weeks this year, his production is a fraction of what it used to be. The gap is enormous. Fewer attempts, way fewer yards, way fewer touchdowns, and a drop in yards per carry that tells the whole story. And the craziest part is that he still looks like the same explosive runner. The burst is there. The vision is there. The toughness is there. The problem is what is happening right before he even gets his hands on the ball. Because a running back can only do so much when he's getting hit the moment he steps into the crease. Last season, he was getting almost 4 yards before anyone laid a finger on him. This year, that number has fallen off a cliff. Sometimes he's being contacted behind the line before his feet even set. You cannot build a rushing attack off that. It's not sustainable, Not with any back, not with any scheme. And even though some people keep asking if another back should get more touches to shake things up, the truth is that this is bigger than whoever is carrying the ball. Sure, throwing a physical downhill guy into the mix here, and there could help spark something, especially on early downs where the offense has been constantly behind the chains. But at the core, the issue is the blocking. And the numbers back it up. You can see it on film, you can feel it in the flow of the game, and you can see it in moments like last week when the line allowed negative yards before contact against a rival defense. That is the definition of losing at the point of attack. Even players who were dominant last season look completely out of rhythm. Injuries have played a part, no doubt. Missed games, guys shifting around, backups stepping in. But even the established veterans are struggling in ways nobody saw coming. Penalties keep piling up. Drives stall before they even start. Long down and distance situations force the offense into predictable passing scenarios. And all that confidence the line once carried has turned into hesitation. And you can feel the frustration building because this team knows what it's supposed to be. Fans know what this team looks like when the front controls the game. Opponents know too. When the Eagles get that ground game rolling, everything else opens. Play action becomes lethal. The tempo shifts. Defenses get tired. Leads stretch. Games end early. Last year, once they went up multiple scores, they slammed the door shut by running right at tired fronts until they broke. This season, they've gone long stretches without finding anything on the ground, even when playing from ahead. And that's when everything starts to unravel. And the ripple effects of that have shown up in every corner of the offense. Drives that should be routine suddenly fall apart because a run on first down loses yardage, or because someone on the line jumps early or grabs a defender out of desperation. And once you start playing behind the chains, it changes the whole rhythm of the game. The quarterback starts pressing. The defense gets more aggressive. The coordinator feels forced into play calls he never wanted to make in the first place. You get a snowball effect that turns something simple into something chaotic. And the Eagles have been living in that chaos for far too many weeks. That is why the numbers people keep pointing at are so frustrating, because they reveal exactly what the eyes are already telling us. The penalties have been nonstop. Flags for holding, false starts, illegal formations, all the stuff coaches preach against every single day. But for some reason, this group can't stay clean. And when you stack that on top of a run game that cannot get rolling, it becomes almost impossible to control the pace of play. The offense ends up sputtering, giving opponents extra possessions, extra chances, extra momentum. And the really wild part is that this isn't some young, inexperienced line. These are veterans, players with years of film proving how good they are. Yet here they are, stuck in a cycle of mistakes that keeps sabotaging everything. And that leads to the conversation nobody wanted to have, but now everyone is having. Because when a position group this talented struggles this much, it stops being just about the players. It becomes about coaching. It becomes about preparation. It becomes about details. And the one thing this organization has always taken pride in is being sharp, disciplined, fundamentally sound. This season has not looked like that. The penalties alone tell that story. Week after week, the team finishes with yardage loss that you would expect from the most inexperienced groups in the league, not from a franchise that has built an identity on precision. And what makes all of this worse is how often these penalties come at the exact moment where momentum is supposed to shift. There have been so many drives where the offense finally strings together a few positive plays, the crowd gets into it, the energy flips, and then a pre-snap penalty wipes everything out. You cannot build consistency that way. You cannot stay in rhythm that way. You cannot overwhelm opponents that way. Instead of punching teams in the mouth the way they did last year, the Eagles have been punching themselves. And the fan base sees it. They feel it. And their patience is wearing thin because they know what this group is capable of. They watched it dominate every Sunday for months. They watched it carry the team through tense playoff games. They know this isn't who the team is supposed to be. And the contrast becomes even sharper when you think about those key voices who helped shape the run game last year and are no longer in the building. Creativity matters in the modern league. Constant adaptation matters. And when a coordinator with fresh ideas, someone who helped design the very system that made the run game elite, leaves for another opportunity, the drop-off becomes noticeable. The schemes that once caught defenses off balance now feel predictable. The timing looks off. The blocking angles look out of sync. You can tell the players are trying, but nothing feels as smooth as it used to. And all of this affects Saquon in ways that go far beyond the stat sheet. This is a player built for space, someone who thrives when he has even a sliver of daylight. But instead of seeing open grass, he is staring straight at defenders crashing through gaps untouched. That kind of pressure forces hesitation, and hesitation kills a run before it even starts. He has even been blamed for plays where he had no chance from the moment the ball touched his hands. And every great running back in history will tell you the same thing. You can't dance your way out of penetration that deep in the backfield. When your average yards before contact drop from nearly 4 to barely above 2, that is the entire story. And when you combine that with the rare moments when he actually gets room and something still goes wrong, like a slip or a missed read or that late-game fumble that everyone talked about, it amplifies every flaw. But those moments are tiny compared to the bigger issue. The offensive line has simply not been good enough. And what makes this so surreal is that some of the same linemen who were playing at a nearly flawless level last season now look uncomfortable, unsure, even overwhelmed at times. There is no obvious physical reason for the entire group to regress this much at the same time, which makes it even more important for the coaching staff to step up and find answers. And you saw the impact of all these issues in that matchup against Dallas. The team jumped out to a 3-score lead. Exactly the kind of situation where last year's squad would have slammed the door shut with punishing runs that drained the clock and ripped the soul out of their opponent. But instead, the offense stalled. The run game went nowhere. The tempo slowed to a crawl, not because the team wanted to slow things down, but because the execution disappeared. You could almost feel the momentum shift in real time as the offense kept going 3 and out, unable to burn time off the clock, unable to control possession, unable to give the defense a breather. And by the time the fourth quarter arrived, the game felt nothing like those comfortable leads fans became used to. That is the danger of losing your identity. Because when a team that is built around physicality and efficiency suddenly loses both, the entire structure starts wobbling. Drives become harder. Big plays become rarer. Confidence dips. And once doubt creeps into a locker room, it takes serious leadership to pull everyone back into the right direction. This coaching staff has preached toughness and detail from day one. They've built slogans around it, rings around it, expectations around it. But words only carry you so far. Eventually, the product on the field has to reflect those standards again. And that is why this next stretch of the season is so critical. Not just for the standings, not just for playoff seeding, but for the team's identity. Because if the offensive line can't rediscover its edge, nothing else on this offense will operate the way it is supposed to. And if the penalties keep piling up, the fan base is not going to stay quiet much longer. Philadelphia demands accountability. They demand effort. They demand discipline. And if this team comes out flat again in front of a home crowd that has already been frustrated for weeks, those boos are going to be loud, and they're going to be deserved. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Philadelphia is buzzing with a rumor that refuses to die down, spreading through locker rooms, fan forums, and late-night sports radio like wildfire. According to multiple whispers circulating around the city, Saquon Barkley is said to be furious after an alleged comment from rising quarterback SHEDUR Sanders made its way back to him. No one seems to know the full sentence, the exact tone, or even the true context, but that hasn't stopped the speculation from exploding across the local sports scene. Some say it was a playful jab that snowballed into something bigger. Others insist it carried a sharper edge that Barkley simply couldn't ignore. What's certain is that the mere idea of tension between the star running back and the young, spotlight magnet quarterback has lit up Philadelphia chatter. Barkley, known for his measured demeanor and careful public presence, is rarely the center of drama, which makes the alleged reaction all the more intriguing to fans and analysts. The rumors suggest that he took offense to Sanders' supposed remark about leadership or locker room hierarchy, sparking questions about whether this is the beginning of a personal rivalry or just an overblown misunderstanding amplified by the city's famously passionate echo chamber. Insiders are trying to downplay the situation, yet the energy around it keeps growing as teammates and coaches remain noticeably tight-lipped. Every sidelong glance, every clipped sentence in interviews, every moment of silence is being treated like a clue in a mystery that Philadelphia desperately wants to solve. Some fans argue that a little tension could fuel Barkley to deliver an even more explosive season. Others worry that even the hint of discord could disrupt the delicate chemistry the team has been building. The truth may never fully surface, but the rumor has already carved out its own space in the city's sports mythology. Until someone speaks up or slips up, Philadelphia will remain on edge, waiting to see whether this is nothing more than smoke swirling in the wind or the first spark of a fire. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.